Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to another video. It's that time of the week again. It's Premier League predictions time. Another round of exciting and intriguing Premier League encounters are almost upon us for this weekend. And this is obviously the video where I give my talk, analysis, and of course predictions on how I think each and every single game will pan out come the final whistle of these games. Before we get into all of that, though, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you are new. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And, of course, I encourage each and every single one of you to get involved in the comment section down below, whether it be through your thoughts, comments, opinions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. That will make for great and interesting reading on all of the Premier League games coming up this weekend. But, of course, above all else, I want to know your predictions on how you think each and every single Premier League game will turn out this weekend. Because after all, people, where would a Premier League predictions video be after all without predictions? Sound good? Great. Let's kick things off then, shall we? Let's start with one of the 3 o'clock games on Saturday. No lunchtime fixture for us to contend with this Saturday. So we're going to begin with action from the Amex Stadium, 3 p.m. Saturday, and it is going to be between Brighton and Everton, and I have gone with a 1-1 draw to kick things off. Now, again, I'm not entirely confident because both of these teams can be quite hit and miss. Both of these teams can be good one week and then mediocre or poor the next. It really is Jekyll and Hyde as far as what these two teams are concerned. Everton seem to find it a slightly more easier away from home than they do actually at home. And as for Brighton, like I say, we know they have the capabilities of being very, very good, very tricky to beat. But their consistency is somewhat lacking. So again, this could be any kind of result, really. This genuinely could go any which way. I'm going to call it down the middle, though. I'm going to go with the points being shared. But don't be surprised whichever way this result goes. Like I say, a couple of informed players on either side that could really win this game for either of these two sides. But I've gone with a 1-1 draw to kick things off. Next up, the Premier League leaders Arsenal travel away from home to Elland Road to face Leeds United. Daniel Farke's Leeds United, and Arsenal are looking to bounce back in this one from a somewhat shock defeat at the hands of Manchester United last time out. I've gone 3-1 to Arsenal here. Look, I think last week for Arsenal was a bad day at the office. I think they need a more favourable game. And this one could provide it. And I emphasise the word could. Leeds have been quite the run in recent weeks and in the past couple of months. They have properly locked in. They're properly locked in. Like, I think a lot of people were expecting them to do worse than what they've actually done so far. I think a lot of people were expecting them to be somewhere in the bottom 3 right now, kind of cut adrift from the rest. But that is anything other than how it's planned out. Daniel Farke and Leeds deserve huge amounts of credit for being where they are right now. And of course, they're in a good position to at least fight off relegation for as long as possible. Whether or not they achieve that or not, obviously still remains to be seen. But they're in a very good position to fight it off. Against Arsenal, look, it's a bit of a free hit, this one, because again, no one's really expecting them to win. But maybe them being at home, maybe them being at Elland Road, maybe them making this ground as hostile as possible could give them a little bit of something to maybe cling on to, latch on to, and maybe give Arsenal some food for thought. And I'm sure that there are going to be plenty of rival fans of Arsenal hoping and praying that this is a banana skin waiting to happen for Mikel Arteta's side. I would love it to be a banana skin just to make things even more interesting than what they are right now. However, I think Arsenal's strength and depth will see them through. I think they will win this one and get the 3 points and back to winning ways. But it is going to be very interesting to see if Arsenal can handle the pressure, especially with them dropping points in back-to-back game weeks before this game kicks off. Next up, Wolverhampton Wanderers take on Bournemouth, and I've gone with a 1-1 draw. Now, Last time out, Bournemouth did pick up an incredible win against Liverpool, leaving it late, but managing to win in a 5-goal thriller, 3-2 against Arne Slot's men. They come up against a side in Wolves who are in desperate need of points, desperate need of attempting any sort of great escape. And whilst obviously the favourites will be Bournemouth, I think sometimes in those kinds of games that you're not really expected to win, you're not expected to get much out of, you can maybe throw a bit too much caution to the wind, maybe exert yourself a little bit too much, and that could obviously lead to you going into a more favourable game the week after and taking your eye off the ball a little bit and dropping points. We've seen that happen time and time again. Look, Bournemouth very well could go on and win this game, but I've got a sneaky feeling that Wolves will get something from this, especially being at home, being at Molineux. I think Wolves may get something from this game. So I'm going to say 1-1, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bournemouth did go on and find a way to win this one. Next up, one of Saturday's evening fixtures features a London derby, and it is Chelsea taking on West Ham at Stamford Bridge, and I've gone with a 2-0 win to Liam Rosenior's side. Now, life has started off pretty well for Liam Rosenior at Chelsea. A few wins under their belts, qualification through to the round of 16 stage of the Champions League in midweek. I think they'll keep the good vibes going here. West Ham side, who absolutely put Sunderland to the sword in their previous encounter, a much needed win to slightly ease the pressure on Nuno Espirito Santo, but of course you don't get too much respite, particularly at this point in the season, and of course they need to go again, and they need to go again at the potential expense of one of their fierce and closest rivals in Chelsea. But I don't necessarily think that will happen. I think Chelsea are about to enter a run of favourable games for them, which means that they very well could be in the ascendancy to get Champions League football for next season within the top 4, top 5 area. And these games are going to help. But at the same time, in saying that, they are potential banana skins that if Chelsea aren't careful, they very well could slip up on. I think Chelsea will win this game. I think they'll start off this run of fixtures very, very well. 2-0 to Chelsea is what I am going with here. A win and a clean sheet to boot for the Blues. Next up, Anfield awaits the arrival of Newcastle as Liverpool take on the Magpies in what is a Premier League classic. Look, I'm under no illusion that Liverpool will turn up in this one the same way that they do in the Champions League. I know that the Liverpool of the Champions League this season is Jekyll and Hyde in comparison to the Liverpool that turns up in the Premier League. The Liverpool in the Premier League that turns up is so awkward, so weird, and so different to the one that is in the Champions League. It's crazy. And against a Newcastle side, their fans will have the bit between their teeth, of course. They still, as much as they want to say they've let the Alexander Isak situation go, let's be real, they still go on about it, even to this day. So they're still not quite over it, so they're going to have the bit between their teeth on this one, the Newcastle fans. I'm sure Newcastle will want to get revenge after what happened earlier this season, going down to 10 men, fighting back to 2-2 from being 2 goals down, only to lose it in the dying stages of the game. One thing that this game has created in recent years is extremely late drama. So do not leave this one before the final whistle, because again, there is the expectation that there potentially could be some very late drama in this one. But like I say, as much as Liverpool should be winning this game, being at home, being the Premier League champions, that kind of thing, in the Premier League this season, it's anybody's guess as to what Liverpool side turns up here. Equally, Newcastle haven't exactly been amazing away from home this season. But at the same time, in saying that, of course, in recent weeks, their performances have picked up. Some of the results have been actually pretty decent. but you never know. So this is really an up-in-the-air kind of game because you don't know which kind of side of these two teams is going to turn up here. We could get a very, very good game on our hands. We could get an equally poor game on our hands. Or we could get somewhere in between. It really is a toss-up as to what kind of game we're going to get here. So I'm going to call it a Desmond. I'm going to say 2-2. I'm going to say that the points are shared come the end of the game. Next up, action from Villa Park to kick off our Sunday games as Aston Villa take on Brentford. And I've gone with a 2-1 win in favour of Unai Emery's side. Now, for Brentford, it could obviously play into their hands that Aston Villa played an extra 90 minutes in midweek in Europa League action. That could play into Brentford's hands. And after a couple of weeks of poor performances and results from the Bees, maybe this could be an ideal opportunity for them to get back to some sort of winning form going forward. But Villa are in the ascendancy in terms of a top 3 finish. With the bit between their teeth there, that could obviously play into their hands. They could carry the momentum of that Europa League because it's not just about getting those 90 minutes in the legs and the fatigue and everything that goes along with that. There could be some momentum and adrenaline that the Villa side are running off. But there does seem to be an injury to Ollie Watkins, which could be a concern for Villa, which means he might not be able to face his former club. So it is going to be an interesting game, this one, but I think being the home side, being the ascendancy in the top 3, the adrenaline that they could run off as far as what they're concerned, I'm going with a Villa win. I'm going to say that Villa win this one by 2-1. But it's going to be an intriguing game. That I am sure of. Next up, action from Old Trafford as Manchester United take on Fulham. And I've gone with a 2-2 draw for this one. Now, hear me out here. Michael Carrick has had an incredible start to life as far as being the Manchester United interim head coach is concerned. Look, no one was expecting him to beat City. He did that. No one was expecting him to beat Arsenal. He did that. So, 6 points out of 6, 2 wins out of 2, 2 unlikely wins out of 2 is nothing to be sniffed at. And I give him all the respect, even though he is a United head coach in the world, for making that happen and defying the odds, right? But here's the problem that United now face. It's easy, in a way, for the underdog to overachieve in games they're not expected to win. If that makes sense. It's somewhat, and it's never been at the realms of possibility for United to take their performances against the bigger teams in the league, against the biggest teams in the league, to all new levels and all new heights. When it comes to obviously to take the performances to all new heights and to obviously get the results when they are required. It's never at the realms of possibility. No matter what manager they've had, whether it be the likes of Ten Hag, Solskjaer, or of course more recently Ruben Amorim, United in the big games, they tend to turn up at performance level. May not always get the result, but performance level, they seem to take it up a few extra notches when pride is on the line, when rivalry is on the line, when bragging rights are on the line. They take it up. But it's these types of games against the Fulhams, against the sides that are in and around them, or mid-table, or even towards the bottom of the table, that really are the true test for United, in my opinion, because it's all about mentality. It's all about the mentality. It's somewhat easier to get up for the games that you're not expected to win. It's easier to get up for the games that, like I say, have something on the line in terms of rivalry and bragging rights. It's a whole new mentality to get up for the ones where you're favourites to win, but there's always that possibility that you might slip up. And this is one of those games. Fulham come into this one in pretty decent form, so there are going to be no pushovers here. You would expect United to win. And probably under this new manager bounce kind of thing, maybe it will happen for United. But I don't have any real evidence to suggest it will so far. So I think United could drop points here. I think Fulham could do something here. But again, don't hold your breath. If I was to go for a winner, I would be going for United. I think recent form obviously goes in their favour. And of course, the fact that Fulham are kind of hit and miss away from home as well. I would probably say more Man United. But because I still think and have questions over United's mentality in these types of games, that's why I think a draw, and a Desmond at that, could be on the cards in this one. Next up, we're jumping to the City Ground, where Nottingham Forest take on Crystal Palace, and I've gone with a 1-1 draw here. Look, Palace, the wheels have come off their season. The wheels have seemingly come off their season. They've lost their best defender this January. Their main striker, seemingly wants out of the club. Oliver Glasner seems disinterested in what is going on. He seemingly is looking elsewhere. Results haven't been great in recent weeks. It just seems like Palace's season has gone off the rails a little bit, and Nottingham Forest could be facing them at the right time. Now, of course, again, it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams cope with playing extra games in midweek and things like that. But yes, this could be favourable for Forest here. They obviously need points to stay clear of relegation. It's not exactly a foregone conclusion, of course, but at the same time, in saying that, Forest need the points. Palace need to get back to winning ways. It might be a game that reeks of desperation, but it could also be very favourable for either of these two sides. Not necessarily just for Forest, but for Palace as well, to get back to winning ways. But for me, as much as maybe Forest with the home advantage and obviously with the way they played the other night in the Europa League go, they very much could get the victory. I'm going for the points to be shared here. I don't know, I've just got a sneaky feeling that Palace can get something from this game. I'm going 1-1 come the final whistle. Next up, Monday night's game, we'll see Sunderland at home at the Stadium of Light take on Burnley, and I've gone with a 2-0 victory in favour of the Black Cats. I think this is an ideal opportunity and an ideal game for Sunderland to get back to winning ways here against the Burnley side, who again are in desperate need of points, desperate need of trying to stay clear of relegation, but it seems as if the writing is very much on the wall for Scott Parker's side. Sunderland are the only side at home now this season to be unbeaten. Whether that run will come to an end on Monday remains to be seen, but I think the likelihood is that they keep that record intact and Sunderland go on to get 3 more big points on the board. So I'm going with a Sunderland win. I think they'll have enough about them to beat this Burnley side. And finally, in what I believe to be the biggest game of this round of fixtures, the main event of this Premier League weekend, we've got action from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium where, surprisingly, Tottenham are taking on Manchester City. Now, I know in recent years Tottenham have been a bit of a bogey side for Manchester City, but I think that this has all the makings of a City win written all over it. Tottenham at home haven't exactly been convincing. Tottenham in the Premier League overall haven't been entirely convincing. If this was a Champions League game, maybe I could at least make the case that maybe Spurs may be a bit more of a thorn in the side of Pep Guardiola than it should be. Having said that, though, this City side haven't entirely been convincing either. They have dropped some points in recent weeks and in recent games, stopping the rot against Wolverhampton Wanderers, obviously, but, you know, drawing to the likes of Brighton, drawing to other teams as well, and obviously losing the Manchester derby, losing some ground on Arsenal, but also gaining it last time out with a win over Wolves, whilst Arsenal were obviously to lose. Now, of course, Arsenal do play before City, so there could be an extra bit of incentive there before kickoff even happens. If, of course, Leeds can get a result against Arsenal. But, of course, if not, then it's all about maintaining that 4-point gap at the very least for Manchester City going into this weekend. And, you know, I don't think losing this game might be something that Tottenham care too much about. I know obviously in the grand scheme of things it's obviously not ideal, but some of Tottenham fans' mentality is to maybe throw these types of games in order to help City catch Arsenal in the long run. Tottenham fans, some of them will obviously want to win and kind of be professional about it, but I'm sure some of them won't actually mind too much if they were to obviously give City a bit of a helping hand in trying to stop Arsenal this weekend. Overall, though, I'm expecting an intriguing game. We know, obviously, earlier on in this season when these two teams last met, that Spurs were victorious in an incredible game at the Etihad. So, yeah, maybe it isn't out of the realms of possibility to suggest that Spurs will get something in this game. But I just think that Spurs, City, the bit between their teeth, maybe now 4 points behind. Maybe that may have been the kick up the backside that they needed to obviously get themselves into gear. I'm going with City to win. I'm going 3-1 Manchester City come the final whistle. And there you have it, people. Those are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, predictions of this guy. I want to know what you guys are thinking and feeling. Let me know in the comment section down below what you make of all the Premier League games that are coming up this weekend. What are your thoughts, comments, opinions, but most of all, what are your predictions on each and every single English top flight game this weekend? Let me know down below. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe if you are new or want to see more content like this. Both things will always and forever be greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video. And I will see and speak with you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I will speak to you all again very, very soon.